in your personal brand. Understanding also who you're talking to will help you with your voice that you have when speaking to them. Everything is based on your who and why. Understanding who's going to be on your side, who are your potential allies, who are associated businesses, who are associated people, who you can collaborate with, who is your competition. Understanding your competition really well is super useful, and if you don't know your competition, it's really hard to beat them. It's also hard to research what other people are looking at before they see you. For that transformation, we can look at, well, where will this content live? In real life, if you're doing a talk, if you're going to a networking event, is this going to be on your business card? Is this going to be on a flyer? Is this going to be behind you on a TV when you're speaking? Is this going to be something that you bring with you to a podcast? You know, when you're sending out a media kit, are you going to be having a craft fair? So you want to be able to have a little bit of information about you. Are you going to be pushing yourself to be on the news, or are you going to be working with some of the people in your group to be able to do these things? Understanding where the stuff lives is going to be helpful. If your customers are on LinkedIn, make sure your content's for LinkedIn. If it's going to be on Twitter, make sure stuff's going to work for Twitter, okay? And that's going to change the orientation that you shoot in, understanding where they're at, your portrait mode or your landscape mode. The main tip here to make sure this works is work with somebody else, work with the community, have a clique, get a gang, have a creative gang, have a little personal branding, triad. Find 2 other people that are down to play with you, down to work with you, down to be in business, not necessarily with you, but in collaboration with you. Do this with them. Agree that, hey, you're all going to build your personal brands together, helping each other build your personal brands, and watch as you're most successful by doing that. If you spend the next month, next 2 weeks, dialing down the people that you want to work with, finding them, and coming to this agreement, you will be further along than if you spend every day the next 30 days working at your business, because telling that story by yourself is a lot harder. You have heralds when you do that. You have other people to help tell your story. So don't take that lightly. Don't dismiss the value of having some support. This is a really dodgy area to be slipping in. I mean, it looks ugly, and it's a lot harder to do than than it really should be. All right. So having allies is a really key thing, and it'll come into the other parts of making this creation, because it can remove a lot of the more challenging ways that content is made. Especially if you need a few people, someone's a graphic artist, someone's a photographer, someone that knows video, someone that's a stylist, someone that knows PR, someone that maybe knows some legal stuff. Whatever your collection of people are, having people that do it together, you'll get further.
As you build your composition, you know if you're going to have copy meaning word, you know how big your face needs to be. If people are willing to zoom in and look at a photo, they're going to have the capacity to do that, right? You know that if your words are going to be driven principally by the captions below, or they're going to be driven principally by something you have on the page. Will you have something there to support everything else? Are you making something that's going to end up having wording on it? You need to have negative space. You need to have space aside from you, so you'll be able to put those words in a non-distracted format, while also not taking away from the main story in the photograph or the video. The other things that you think about in composition is, who is your subject? Typically, your subject may not be you. If you're in a photograph and you're doing personal branding, and you are taking your own photos, someone is taking it for you, the thing that may actually be the hero is the activity you're doing, so that people understand what you do or what services you offer. So you, in that case, are the supporting actor. That's kind of what I mean by understanding your composition, understanding who the subject is, which might be yourself, it might be your background, it might be your activity, who the supporting characters are, which again, same set of people here. Where you are, your scaling in a photo or in a video really changes things, right? What colors you are. I make sure to keep myself relatively warm and cool while my background is mostly warm, so that way you can still see me. I still have my vibe, but I'm still separated from my background. That's what I mean by that composition. The other components of your composition you keep in mind is, what are you wearing? Your attire needs to speak to your brand, needs to speak to your story. The colors of it need to also be in support of the story or the characters. If your background, and you know your background is going to be warm, maybe you want to wear a cooler color. If your background is going to be complicated and you're going to have a lot of lines, maybe you avoid having a lot of textures and lines in that. That's a component of the composition. If you're someone that speaks to a great deal about beauty products, part of your composition may be making sure that you yourself are well beautified and you are well put together. If you are a medical professional and you don't want to spend most of your time proving who you are, that social proof can be your uniform. You can put on those scrubs, and now we understand who you are. So that's a component of your composition, your jewelry, the furniture you have. The other components of your composition is your location, like where we are here. This location is a big part of telling that story, and that's a major part of that. As an environmental portrait photographer, which means I'm a portrait photographer that photographs people in their environment to support the story of who they are. I hope that makes sense. You want to keep in mind what your environment is, where your light source is coming from, what your ground is, what color your ground is, how shiny your ground is. Is it reflective or not reflective? All of those things will change the nature of your light on your subject. It will change the nature of your composition, whether you have negative space that you can use because of a singular uniform thing like trees or a blue sky or a lake or fog. That's probably an accident that we ended up here, right? Or you might want to be able to use scale. So whether you're in the mountains or you have a view of the mountains can change how that comes together, right? When you're rock climbing, whether you're observing the rock climber from below or you're up there and you're looking from above them and you're looking down to them so people can tell what that height is. Those are the different ways you change your composition. I know a lot of times when people talk about composition, they talk about the rule of thirds. You got something here, you got your other stuff here, and you put someone in between, and as long as you're in those lines, those work. I understand those are some easy ways to try to remember some stuff, but keeping things to those hard, steady rules will have your mind racing instead of composing. What you want to do is concentrate on what are you trying to talk about. If you see your subject, make sure you pull that subject up front. If your main thing is the activity, make sure that is profiled in a way that is big and easy to see. Then make sure you do that by color or by scale or by where in the photograph they are, right? Or in the video they are, and how much do you concentrate on that. Okay, now we know what we're shooting, who we're talking to, and now we also know how to put ourselves in the scene to tell our story. Now we get out our stuff, we get out our camera, because knowing all those things before you pull out your equipment helps you be able to, if you're doing anything with video, the main set of tools that you're going to need are going to be around audio. You need to have high quality audio. Video is audio. As a photographer, I figured I would have a huge advantage in YouTube because I understand lighting, I understand composition. This is great. I'm going to win all day long. But I quickly realized that if my audio sucks, no one wants to watch any of this. Other audio things. I have a mic for podcasting. Pick one of those up and attach this to my iPhone, attach this to a professional camera. That's a really easy thing to do. Get yourself a lavalier mic. These are all things. This mic is a little bit pricey, but a lavalier mic, you can get a cheap wireless one. I got one for $30. Okay. Now we talked about you're making sure your location is good because that takes a whole lot. The next thing. The next part you want to consider is, can your tool be used in the place you want to use it? If you're going to be doing a video in a national park, you want to fly your drone, you might not be able to do that. Keep that in mind. If you want to bring your fancy gimbal camera out in a public setting and it's privately owned, the people that own that property may say, hey, not in my restaurant, not in my bar, not in my casino, not in my whatever. So keep in mind how your equipment can be utilized. Also, make sure your equipment can do the thing that you need to do. Mobile devices have a lot of capabilities, while professional devices can do them better. Professional devices, I consider those to be like a race car. A race car probably doesn't have air conditioning or a good sound system, comfortable seats, or nice suspension. It's not good on gas. Bad maintenance. I mean, you can go through and name why, like a Formula One car is a terrible car, but yeah, that is the best car you can get for racing because it has the most amount of control. and it requires professionals to control those things. I'm going to say that again. Professional equipment requires professionals to operate them. So if you want to play with professional equipment, expect to put in a professional amount of time to be able to control it. You will get better results, but you will also have to put professional amounts of effort into being able to get those results. Now, lighting is something that's typically difficult to do. You want to replicate the sun. That's really what you're trying to do. Wherever the sun might be, try to replicate that. Start there. Try to make it look like the sun. Maybe the sun bouncing off some buildings. Maybe it's a red building. So light, red reflector, one light. I got like 4 lights going on in here, maybe 6, I don't know. Don't do that, okay? Until you understand how to build light, do one light, have it so that way you are visible. That quality doesn't matter at the beginning. Your audio does. If your audio sucks, it doesn't matter what you do with your light. Easy thing to do is find yourself a nice window, something with a big light source. Do that. Or if you're outside, keep in mind, if it's noon, no one looks good. I don't care if you're a top model or not. Noon, no one looks good at noon. Don't do that noon light. If you're a client and you're watching this and you're trying to do a shoot with someone, don't insist that you have a noon shoot with your photographer. They're gonna be mad at you, all right? So here's the hack that really will like blow you up faster than anything else. If you can think of one person that you can call and they're down to create, they're the person that you know will come through, right? And if you're that lucky that you have that person and you can look them in the eye and say, hey, I agree with you on your team, you're my team. And if we're never on the same team, we'll tell each other and we're going to do this thing together where we're going to grow. I'll help you all the time you help me. It's a formal thing. Like you look each other in the face, you and your best bro, all right? Holding hands, bros, and like, hey, we got this together, me and you, right? Better than 2. Find 2 people, so you have 3 of you. You have a trilogy. This is the magic number. 3 people on a mission where they're supporting each other will create magic. Have them be the person that has your elevator pitch. Whoever you serve, whoever you are transforming, have them introduce you that way. That's the agreement you can have, like, hey, when you're out networking together and you're in a group and everyone's introducing yourself, instead of you saying, hey, my name is Lucky and I help people tell the stories to change the bottom line. Have your best buddy Dave tell you, have Jakeem tell that story, be like, oh, let me introduce my friends. Somebody else singing your praise is better social proof than anything you can get online, more than any Lamborghinis that you can show off that you rented, okay? Posing, part of the composition, part of your equipment. How you pose in your photograph is still informed by your first decision of who your audience is and what your why is, because how you come across always matters. The basic things that you're going to always need in anything to be able to figure out what to do is you've got to breathe. The whole time, no holding your breath. That's the hardest thing. We can all tell. Okay, don't hold your breath. Good posture. Sit up straight. Shoulders back. Even if you got to do it during that period, you feel good, you feel confident. There's no vocation where you feeling bad about yourself is looked at as well. Even when you do something edgy, that body conversation, that body language never says just untrustworthy. So, good posture always helps. Okay, what to do with your hands? What do you do with your hands when you're not in a photograph? What do you do with your hands when you're not in a video? Use them. It's okay. Like, if they're in the way, it's the digital era. If your hands are in the way, if you're someone that talks a lot with your hands, do it. Be yourself. Good posture. All right. If someone is directing you, and they tell you you're doing stuff with your face, believe them. And then also micro movements. Too much. Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Have that power pose. Be welcoming, right? Be an actor. Because you're telling your story. You're in control of your story. So when it comes down to your poses, this is not the time for you to be afraid of being judged by somebody that does not get to determine your future. The other thing is do this in community. Don't do this by yourself. Personal branding is essentially about the reputation, what other people have to say. Involve other people. Don't just go online and wait for someone else to tell your story. Get together with someone that knows you, someone that likes you and trusts you, and have them tell your story with you.